Yana on the daily walk and talk with my girl Karma. There she is. And so I had to have one of my first big boy talks with my nieces last night. Now, I've probably had one before where I kind of had a freak out with the fact that they started doing those active shooter drills and the instructions they gave the kids. There's Karma. For those that don't know, I take care of, they're 8 and 10 now, but we started when they were 6 and 8. It's about to be 3 years in October already. So wow, it goes by quick, guys. But anyway, obviously I love them very much. And you know, that first big boy talk that we had was basically to tell them to completely ignore what they were being trained to do and explain to them that if they did what they said, there's a chance they could be hurt. So what am I talking about with the drill stuff? They are training children, including my nieces, on a one-story school in a neighborhood where there are literally houses, I don't know, less than 100 yards away. Less than 100 yards away, okay? One-story school, 100 yards away, windows around just about every classroom. Instead of training them to get out of the situation and get to the nearest safe house, etc., make a phone call, they have them huddling up in a corner and being sitting ducks. There's nowhere, listen, I've been in this school. If they get in the corner, I don't even think the shooter would have to enter the room, because most of them have glass on the walls, in the sides, in the halls before you get there. And if you do get to a door, it's a simple wooden door with a glass thing. It's insane. And I said, listen, girls, God forbid anything ever like that happens. I go, the first thing you do is you run to the nearest window, you break it if you have to, you jump out that window. Again, first story. And they're 3.5 feet off the ground, and you run to another house. And you know, that was a tough conversation to have, but it's tough for me to understand why they would scare my grade children like that. I understand, or train them for something like that in a manner where they could be hurt or killed, right? Sitting ducks, not my thing. So yesterday, the older one, she starts talking to me about climate change, etc., and I think I'm going to have a conversation about that, and we definitely do. We have that conversation. I say, honey, you know, they've been teaching that same stuff, only it was much heavier on chlorofluorocarbons when I was a kid. And now it's evolved into carbon credit system, but we didn't have to get that far, because she goes, well, Trump signed us out of the Paris Peace Accords. And I looked at him and I go, well, honey, that's actually a very good thing that he did. And you know, I don't really tell them what I talk about when I do these things. And she said, what do you mean? And I go, well, let's talk about some real bad things that he does, right? And you know, she goes, well, what has he done that's good? And she rolls her eyes at me, and I'm like, this is a 10-year-old girl, and I can tell that now she's been brainwashed to hate this guy and have no idea any of the real policy. So now it's time for like a very long big guy talk with the 10-year-old that I didn't know whether or not I was ready to have. So I said to her, all right, well, let's just start with the Paris Peace Accords, or Paris Climate Treaty, I'm sorry. And I go, do you know what that would have done? And she's like, well, it would have made the planet better. I'm like, honey, they want, and I had to explain to her that carbon dioxide was a gas that you exhale and that trees breathe. And she's like, yeah, I know. Sorry about that. We got hit by a phone call. Hope everybody's, God, I hate it when that happens. All right, so she says, oh yeah, no, we're actually gonna plant trees. And I said, yeah, but do you know that you exhale that? And their solution to the carbon in the air is to have a taxation system where people like me and your mother are gonna have to pay to drive a certain amount of cars or do certain things that they deem, you know, carbon heavy. I go, and look, there's pollution out there. We had all that conversation. And I go, so you got to understand, it's not black and white, honey. That's actually one of the good things that he did. And then I go, well, let's talk about some of the bad stuff I think that he's doing right now. And she goes, well, okay. And I go, are they telling you about the wars in the Middle East at all? She goes, there's war going on? And I said, yeah, honey, there is war going on. And I go, real people really die, and it's not about carbon. And she's like, wait a minute, really? And I go, honey, we're in, and I told her, I was very, very specific. I go, we're in places called Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya. I go, we're in Somalia, we're in the Sudan. I go, we're involved in Yemen. She's like, I don't even know where most of those places are. I go, exactly. And I go, it's a big world and there's a lot going on. And she asked me, she goes, are you smarter than my teachers? And I had to stop and I said, look, I go, I don't know who I'm smarter than. I go, but if you put me in a room with any of your teachers on any of these subjects that we just talked about, and there was an audience, we were to debate, I would make them look silly. And she's like, yeah, you probably would, huh? And I'm like, yes, I promise you that I would. So that's a good talk, but you got to talk to your children. You've got to be involved. You know, that's the number one thing. You know, when I watch these debates, they're talking about the education system and the kids, et cetera, et cetera. And Yang was the only one that was really honest, by the way. And he said, look, the bottom line is that it's really neighborhoods and home life that make a decision in where somebody's going to be later on. He's like, that's 60+% of kids. He's right. He's like, so you can do whatever you want to the education system. And again, it really starts at home. Well, here's the deal. In the education system, if there are certain after-school programs, because again, it gets into after school that are actually positive, that are mentorships. Instead of training somebody to go to school for 4 years to get a liberal arts degree or a master's in nonsense, or get ready for a job that's not even going to be around in 6 years. Come on, Carm. What are you doing? Going for the grass again? I'm sorry, guys. She keeps going for that grass. Why do that? Why not prepare people now? This is my idea. You want to change the education system? All right. So it's real simple. In the last 2 years of your school, you're going to take 2 courses. So that's about roughly 2 hours a day, 5 days a week during the school year, right? That are that type of mentorship. You're going to pick something, a skill set. Now, whether that be programming, et cetera, so they're already teaching a lot of this stuff in high school, but you're going to pick that. And then to revamp the college system, we need more 2-year trade schools and programs that are real world, it's real simple, that are education based and that are not identity politics based or hate based. Because I got to tell you, you know, they are brainwashing these kids to hate this guy. And it's like, look, can you imagine if they did that in the Obama era? If teachers were actively expressing that they didn't like, Obama, you think that would have flown? No, everybody would have been a racist, et cetera, et cetera. It would have been reverse. And the thing is that you had to be critical of him because many of the policies that Trump has inherited and now expanded upon, by the way, come from the Obama era. Just like many of the policies, especially in the foreign department, right, came from the Bush era. And what did Obama do? He expanded them. The drone program promised us to get out of Guantanamo Bay. No, 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 no. Come 2021, we're going to have our nice little 9/11 show trials. Isn't that nice? Isn't that awesome? It's good stuff. Huh? Oh, we're not closing it? There are no speaking out? It's upsetting, man. And all I can say, I was a little bit taken aback on how quick the kid was to roll her at me and just tell me what a bad dude Trump was, and then really couldn't tell me. I mean, I guarantee they got it in her head that, he's a racist. He's the bad orange man. All that stuff. And it's like, no, that's not correct. But there are plenty of legitimate things to look at. So it was a rough one, but we're only going to have more and more of those as they grow up. So the other one was there too. So Alana heard a lot of it. Sorry, my dog's sniffing. She's doing great, by the way. I'm about to leave for Long Island in probably 2.5, 3 hours for a wedding this weekend. So you're probably going to see, if anything, some walk and talk, some side stuff. Not a lot of production over the next few days. I'm not even sure if I'll be back Saturday night, Sunday night, what the plan is. Definitely be back by Monday, obviously. Whether this is going to be a a rough weekend or not. I hear my buddy who's getting married, he's getting on a plane, so he can't screw it up right after. And I'm going to try to do an Epstein update before I leave over at the house. So make sure to check that out. Virginia Roberts and others have done some more interviews, and you know, the media is kind of covering it. So on your way out here, guys, if you could thumbs this video up, share my channel with others. We are almost 34,000 strong in the Burmist Brigade. Ring that bell for notifications. And remember, got myself a little GoFundMe. That's how I do it. 5, 10, 15 bucks means the world to me. No Patreon, no Subscribe Star, no bonus content or secrets. And by the way, Mick West, the big debunker, he reached out to me today to go on his podcast, not necessarily talk about 9/11, but things of mutual interest. So maybe I'll do that. I'm going to try to work that out with him on Monday. I don't hate the guy. Listen, I'm looking to bring people together and have real honest debates, and hopefully he'll have an honest debate with me on numerous subjects where we're not at each other's throats, because that doesn't really help anybody, does it, guys? With that being said, I love you guys, and I will see you on the flip side.